It's 5 o'clock on Monday, April 7th, and we will call this regular City Council meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Nancy.
Kathy? Here. Carly?
Here.
Brad?
Here.
Rodney?
Here.
Jessica? Here. Don?
Here. Thanks. Entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
Second.
I have a motion from Harley, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Roll call, Nancy.
Kathy? Here. Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
That works too. Yes.
Carly? Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes. Motion carried. Today I'd like to thank Chris Dodds. He's our videographer. And just a reminder that this is National Library Week, and we're very grateful for the staff and the facilities that we have here in Algona. So everyone please stop by and say hello to the library staff. And just a reminder that this coming Saturday, April 12th, is the annual Firemen's Fundraising Breakfast. It's held at the Algona Fire Station between 6 o'clock in the morning and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So enjoy pancakes and eggs, show your support. And just a reminder that the 27 firemen that we have are volunteers. So, and annual cleanup day, I believe that Jacob's going to speak on that in just a minute. Does Council have anything that they would like to share? Okay, hearing none, we'll have an update from Jacob, our city administrator.
Yeah, just real quick on the library. So we did have our pre-construction meeting the other week for the exterior improvements that'll be going on this summer. So we're waiting for supplies and materials to come in, but Kingland Construction expects to begin work on that in early May. But more information will be coming on that timeline and kind of the temporary construction logistics as we get closer. And then, as the Mayor mentioned, we have our spring cleanup day coming up here. It will be on Saturday, May 10th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Last year, due to flooding, we had to move it to the Aquatic Center parking lot. It ended up working out really well in that we only had people going there that were there for cleanup day. Not having to deal with some of the other park traffic. So a little bit more efficient, safer operation. So we're going to be holding it again this year at the Aquatic Center. That'll be on Saturday, May 10th from 8 a.m. To 2 p.m. And then appointments for hazardous waste materials that can be taken to the county landfill. Those will need to be scheduled by appointment only for that day.
Okay, thank you. Move to agenda item number 7, and this is the citizens' opportunity to address the council with any item that's not on the agenda. Anyone who would like to speak, okay? Please come up to the podium. Where? And
Right over here.
right over here.
Yep.
Yeah, please state your name and your address, and just, according to your agenda, just remember that everyone's entitled to 3 minutes to speak today.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, hi, my name is Jeremy Steinkühler. I'm a resident of Bancroft, Iowa. I'd like to thank all of you guys for taking a minute out of your time tonight to listen to me. I would like to start, if you haven't noticed, there have been protests across the nation. 5.2 million people protested last Saturday, with approximately 1,400 protests. These were peaceful protests, amazing people with great conversation. I am asking your permission if I can have a protest on April 19th at the Four Corners intersection of the Chrome, where the fire department does their yearly donation. I would love to have a few people down there that would be peacefully protesting, no vulgar language, no obscenities. This is just a peaceful protest. I would greatly appreciate it. I just believe this is my civil duty to my country. And I would thank you guys, and I would appreciate it so much if you would give me a few hours on this day to present and be spoken, and let my words be heard and other people's words be heard. Once again, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to allow me to step up here and speak. I hope this can get on the agenda or get approved by April 19th. I am asking for people for support, and hopefully there's people in here that support me. Thank you so much, and everybody have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Okay, seeing no one, then we would like to move to agenda item number 7, agenda item number 8, and that includes approving the minutes from our March 17th regular and our work session meetings, and approving the bills to be paid this cycle.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, Nancy?
Was that Harley and Don?
Yes. Sorry.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. We'll move into public hearings. This is agenda item number 9, and it is 5:07, and we will open this public hearing regarding the Nebraska Street and Thornton Street and parking lot reconstruction project.
This is a public hearing on that project, the proposed plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost. We have Matco Bowling Engineering here to share some information on the project.
Thank you, Jake. Yes, this is the Nebraska Street, Thornton Street, and parking lot reconstruction. That's the parking lot behind Billy Joe's between Thornton and Nebraska Street. This 3-block reconstruction project is scheduled to be completed in 2025, the majority of the work, finishing up in 2026. So it does include those 2 blocks of Thornton Street from State Street to McGregor Street, the block of Nebraska Street from South Thornton to South Dodge, and then, like I said, that parking lot, the city-owned parking lot behind Billy Joe's Historical Society across from the POW Museum. So this project area will include full reconstruction of all the street and utility infrastructure, along with water quality aspects with rain gardens, trees, plantings, tree cells, and permeable pavers. So it'll look similar to the Dodge Street layout. Kind of follow the Call Street parking lot that was redone a couple years ago. So yeah, in that schematic there is kind of our water quality infrastructure that we have planned. There is funding that the city has acquired to pay for some of these improvements on the water quality aspect. Yeah, that's the project.
The estimated construction cost was $3,350,085. We have not received any written or verbal comments to date on the public hearing list.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
It's 5:09 then, and we will close the public hearing on agenda item number 9, and we will move to new business agenda item number 10. And this is a resolution concerning bids on the 2025 Nebraska Thornton Street and parking lot reconstruction project.
Thank you, Mayor. You just want me to start, Jacob?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. April 1st, we opened bids for the project. We just had our public hearing on, and we had 2 bidders, Castor Construction out of Fort Dodge. Base bid of $2,513,709.45, and Reddings Gravel and Excavating, $3.034 million. After reviewing all their contract documents, or their bid documents, recommending to award the project to Castor Construction out of Fort Dodge for the base bid amount. Obviously, we can discuss the add alternate option of $79,500. That is for the catenary lighting. That was the decorative rope lighting above the sidewalk along the south side of the parking lot. I know we had a work session a couple months ago, and we decided to do this decorative lighting as an add alternate versus putting it in the base bid. So the council can definitely have some discussions on if the add alternate is a want, can definitely award that too, but didn't want to assume that that was gonna be the case based on the work session.
So if we decided to not add the alternate, would there be any different electrical? I mean, I want to make sure the electrical is there for some later time if we did.
Yep, so that's why we bid it as an add alternate. So the base bid has all of the electrical components for the power pedestals, the in-ground handholds, for the temporary power that AMU can bring out for certain events. So the catenary lighting, the add alternate was just for that system to put in the control box, to put in the poles, to put in the string lights, and to run that system separate. So all the original electric components that were wanted in this project by city staff are going to be there.
And for the light poles, those have like power receptacles at the top for the Christmas lights, as well as receptacles towards the bottom that could be used, for plugging in for, the city that's down there.
Yep. So yeah, so my recommendation would be to award the project to Castor. Obviously, the $2.5 million base bid is over $700,000 below our estimate. So that's a very large difference, 23% below our estimate. So that's favorable for only having two bidders. They were both below, kind of all the aspects of the construction were all below our bid. Streets, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, streetscape, electrical was all.
And you dealt with Casper before, to be reputable.
Yep, yeah, Castor has done 2 years of the overlay project, so they are a concrete contractor, and they are going to be performing the underground. They do have underground crews now, so, and then they're going to sub out the electric work and the landscape work for the pavers and the planting.
It seems like they've kind of gotten more just, look, I've only known them as a sub, so just, looking, kind of for news stories or big awards in other cities. It seems like the last couple of years they've really grown and are going more into the general contractor. I know they've gotten some work on some larger projects in Fort Dodge and Webster City.
Yep, they primed the Emmitsburg project 2 years ago on Lake Street.
So due to the cost of that campaign lighting, I know we were thinking it might be in that 40 to 50 range, ultimate engineering 60,000. Thought that was kind of steep. So with the bid alternative it being, just shy of 80,000, our recommendation would be to not add that alternate and just go with the base bid for the 2.5. Which is what the resolution has set for, but that can be changed to include the alternative so desired.
Make a motion to award the base bid to Casper Construction.
Second.
Motion from Brad, second from Kathy. Any other discussion? Roll call, Nancy.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Agenda item number 11 pertains to the 2025 sanitary sewer lining and manhole repairs.
Yeah, for these next two agenda items, we have the team, our wastewater team from WHKS. These are two professional service agreements to go over work to dealing with inflow and infiltration in our system. I'll hand it over to Kevin Graves to go over the first item, construction of the sewer lining and manhole rehabilitation improvements.
Thanks, Jacob. Again, Kevin Graves with WHKS Engineers, Rochester, Minnesota, and Emma Nolenberger is here with me as well tonight. We were down at the wastewater plant, observing the construction earlier today and seeing the progress. So nice to have a nice sunny day as opposed to a rainy day, which we've had a few days here this spring. I'll kind of blend in the next two agenda items in talking about this, but we had last talked to you guys in December, had a workshop regarding our I&I work, the infiltration for the sanitary sewer collection system, talking about why we want to get that clear water out of the sanitary sewer, so we're helping to minimize how many times we have surcharges in the collection system, basement backups, and things like that. So these two agenda items are to have you guys take the next steps in that process that we've laid out. So since December, we've been working through things with city staff to identify the scope and kind of nail down what we want to do for the next year moving forward. So the first agenda item is our professional services agreement for the sanitary sewer lining and manhole repairs. So this scope is to repair approximately 90 manholes, either full replacement or doing some partial repairs, rehabilitation to them, as well as about 3,000 linear feet of sanitary sewer lining, and taking a new liner and putting that in situ in place within that sanitary sewer pipe to help minimize how much clear water can get in there and also extend the longevity of that pipe to help your collection system. So we've put those together based on the defects that we found throughout 2023 and 2024. We've gone through that process in identifying 3 of your 5 sectors. So within the whole city, we divided it up into 5 color-coded sectors, kind of based on geography. We finished finding the defects in 3 of those 5. What you're seeing there on the screen, the blue, the green, and yellow areas were all looked at in 23/24. So we've collected all those items, and that is the compilation of what we have planned, the 90 manholes and the 3,000 feet of linear pipe for sanitary sewer. Those would be done in 2 distinct bid packages. So we have one agreement, but that will cover 2 separate projects for you guys. The reason that we're doing that is that the manhole contractor is going to be different than the sewer lining specialty contractor. So that'll help give you some flexibility in terms of project timing, and effectively should get better prices due to that. But for our engineering work, we're planning to do that all in one package, so that's why we've got the one agreement for you here on that tonight. The second one that we'll cover in a minute is for finding new problems to have. We have 2 additional sectors, the red and the silver, that we would be performing smoke testing and doing manhole inspections, trying to identify any further defects that might be in a future sanitary sewer improvements project that we could do either in 26, 27, and beyond. So that's what we have kind of in a nutshell. The work that we have here for this first agreement would be for that's a total of $153,000. That takes you from the point where we're at now through design and through bidding, and also through the construction of the project. We would perform construction administration and observation during that process. So take you from now through the end of that repair project.
The timeline for when design will be completed and we're looking at to go to the bid?
Sure. Timeline, we're looking to, because we have the 2 projects, we kind of break those into 2 separate timelines. We've been prioritizing the lining ahead of the manholes in order to get onto kind of the calendars of the specialty lining contractors. We want to try to get that in first because they have a kind of a longer lead time in getting those ready. So we're going to prioritize that and try to have that here late spring, early summer to get on their agenda, and then probably a late summer or maybe early fall bid for the manhole repairs, so that we can have the majority of the work being performed in 2025. What we're thinking now, in talking with city staff, is that we would likely have an option to perform some of the work in 2026 to see if that would give us better pricing from the contractors. We know that just in talking to some of the specialty lighting contractors, their schedules are already pretty full. So for 2025, so we may get better pricing if we allow them to extend that into 2026. We kind of balance the wanting to get as much done this year as we can with making sure you're getting good prices.
professional service agreement with WHKS.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Don. Any discussion? Roll call, Nancy?
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Then agenda item number 12, Kevin touched on a little bit more. Is there more you'd like to add then to this?
No, I covered most of it, other than to say the 2 sectors that we're planning to do in 2025 would be roughly the same amount of manholes and an area that we had for the 2 previous sectors. So the cost that we have here, we're estimating it to be a total fee of $49,000 is roughly equivalent to what we did here this past year for the 2 previous sectors. I think that was around 52. So on the same order of magnitude as what we had performed this previous year.
So our plan that we put together a couple of years ago was to do about one sector a year at approximately $25,000. But again, we know we're going to do the work anyways, and with the events we've had here in recent years, we decided let's go ahead and just same as last year. Let's do 2 sectors. So that's the red and the silver, and then we'd be able to take a couple of years off. But then the plan would be to resume on a probably planning on one sector per year, but then get on a 5-year inspection schedule. So we'll likely resume it in 2028, or sooner if we feel it's warranted.
So if all goes well, our treatment plant project is done at the end of 2026. Maybe we can take 2027 off, not have to do anything until 2028. That's our goal.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Jessica. Any discussion? Roll call, Nancy?
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Great, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Agenda item number 13 concerns a footing drain disconnection cost share program.
This resolution adopts administrative guidelines in accordance with the outline that we discussed at our last meeting, but it would provide a cost share program to incentivize the removal of improperly connected footing drains. So eligible properties would be all those within the inspection areas of the 2024-2025 footing drain inspection program. So we have 4 different sectors on that. And then if there's anyone in town that suspects they have a footing drain, or know they have a legal footing drain, the pre-inspection, they need to provide it on their own, but we would allow them to participate in that program. There are benefits to the system, the more we can get removed, but really the focus is on those properties undergoing the inspection. After or when this is adopted, we will follow up with anyone that's already received a notice to repair with a packet, the application, letting them know this program is formally adopted. And talking to a few of the property owners, I'm not aware of anyone who's actually proceeded and made the improvements or made the corrections from those that were found last fall. But in the event that they had, this would be retroactive to those in the inspection area that were doing the correction based on the notice sent last fall. We are branding this as a pilot program, in that we are funding it for in FY 2026. We have $150,000 set aside. The work would be to be completed by the end of this calendar year. We would allow, under certain circumstances, an extension to go into 2026. If there's contractor delays, scheduling conflicts, or kind of bona fide, reasons why it could not be done, whether that's a hardship on the property or property owners, things like that. But that would need to be documented and approved. Otherwise, the order to correct would still stand, but the financial benefit would not be there. That's really to move people along and make sure they get those corrections done in a timely manner. The program would work as the city would cover up to $2,500, not to exceed 50% of eligible project expenses. So it's a $5,000 cost to correct the footing drain, we would cover $2,500. If it's $2,000 total expense, we would cover $1,000. We would play it be on a reimbursement basis, so the property owner would have to bring in the appropriate documentation showing proof of payment, or at the property owner's request, we would issue payment directly to the contractor. The key in both those scenarios is that we have done all the proper upfront and documentation and inspected if the work has indeed been completed to a satisfactory in a satisfactory fashion. And then in addition to this program, we also just memorialize in there that other options help cover the cost beyond that 50% match the city would have. This is allowed under our current program, our Housing RLF, but that anything for code compliance reasons, that is an eligible project. So this just reminds people that if they do qualify for that, they can submit an application and get some low interest financing that way, as well as if they would like to assess the cost of the improvements to the property, they have to waive, fill out some paperwork to ask us to do that, but we would, and then that would be at an interest rate of 5% for a term not to exceed 5 years. This is once this is approved, we'll kind of make this a little bit more polished up document, finalize the program application, and then get it out on our website, send it to anyone who's already had a failed inspection, but then included in the packet of anyone undergoing inspections that if they get a notice to fix, that information will be included with that.
Well, it looks like it's a start and the way we can try to help with some of those issues, and appreciate that work. So I make a motion to approve this resolution program.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Jessica. Any discussion?
Only to reiterate, this is a pilot program, so it is limited. So if anybody's interested, it'd be in their interest to apply early.
Vote please, Nancy.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 14 pertains to approving 2025 transfer of funds.
Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you. I'm John Goldstein, General Manager of Algona Municipal Utilities. As you may recall, Algona Municipal Utilities and the City of Algona have an agreement in place that is related to the transfer of funds from the electric and water utility each year. As per Iowa law, the AMU Board of Trustees have to make a determination that we have surplus funds in order to make the transfer each year. The board did make that determination at their meeting on March 26th. So just a couple weeks ago. So there are surplus funds. The agreement calls for 5% of electric sales within the city limits, 4% this year for water sales within the city limits. The water goes up to 5% next year and then stays at that level from that point forward. What that means is that the electric transfer would be $525,917 this year for last year's revenues or sales, and $79,594 for the water side of it. Again, the Board of Trustees determined that there was a surplus as per Iowa law. Any questions?
Motion to approve the resolution of transfer of funds.
Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Vote please, Nancy.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, John. Agenda item number 15 pertains to site clearing of the former Peck property.
On April 2nd, we had bid opening for the request for quotations that we issued for demolition of the Peck property. In general, that includes removing of the series of north buildings, the fence line, and the overgrowth trees, the trees and the debris pile and the tree line closest to the buildings on the east side, and then a dilapidated fence line running further east of the property. We requested quotes from 4 bidders. We have 3 that responded. Reddings Gravel and Excavating was the low base bid at $34,500. We have unit pricing for on a per tonnage basis for supplying topsoil and structural fill soil, as well as for hauling waste to the landfill. So we could, kind of compare on what might be the most beneficial proposal to the city. Looking at the anticipated tonnage or range that we anticipate being removed, we'd have to more than double, close to triple what we anticipate for Redding's bid to come in a higher amount to compete with the second lowest bid. So our recommendation would be to award the contract to Redding's on the unit prices shown here. And then we will pay them on the documented work on the scale and receipts to the landfill for the hauling for the landfill utility scale for the dirt brought into the site.
Now for the demolition, looking at your images, you're talking about taking the fence lines out, removing almost everything between the north of the large building to the city property line. I'd sure like to see those silos stay.
So we have our pre-construction meeting tomorrow. We are going to revisit that. Dave Brusher, part of a separate endeavor, took a look at them. Separately, we had Burgley and Cram have an inspector that, I guess my most recent understanding, there's maybe one that could be repaired and salvaged. If that's the case, we do want to explore that option. And then if we can, potentially remove that. We kind of want to get more information from the contractor a little bit more before we make that decision. Then also looking at the one silo I know is in really rough shape. I can't remember which one it is, and the other one that is basically a building's built around it, and they're so close together, so when you take one down, depending on how it falls. But that is something that we meet tomorrow, or on the 9th, we have it tentatively scheduled, going to look at options for the building to preserve one of those.
That would be good. I just think we're losing too much of our heritage in the agricultural area here. These are relatively small silos, so it'd be nice to just keep them around as a reminder of our past. Other than that, I can see there is a lot of area out there where you don't know what you're going to find under the ground. So as far as what gets hauled away.
Yes, especially kind of in this area here where a lot of things are built up. It looks like, they're kind of mounds that the debris might be the base of those. The other thing we're planning to talk with the contractors meeting, with the bids coming in, we consider really competitive on the low bid. There are some other areas of debris piles out here, and just seeing what it would cost to take care of those, putting together a scope of work. I mean, the more time you spend out there, the more stuff you find, and didn't want to make it to turn into just like kind of you're just chasing every little thing. Some get self-performing or taking out over time, but now that we know kind of where numbers came in at, we're going to discuss with them if that's something they would entertain adding and what that would look like as well. I will note that in the project contract, it does specifically call out, so areas A and B that when work begins, those have to be fenced off. Just because we know with the pickleball, tennis courts, aquatic center, there's going to be a lot of foot traffic down in that area, and then the standard otherwise safety procedures with the AIA contract template that we use, but we did specifically call those out just because we'll be busy down in that area.
And the project did start February, what is their timeframe?
We will kind of figure that out on the 9th. It does have in the contract specs that they're supposed to mobilize within 10 days and then start demo. We think it should, go pretty quick within a couple of weeks. A lot of it might depend on things that they find. With the septic and well have to be removed. There's a lot of just, as you dig, you find stuff, so it does have a substantial completion of June 15th, final completion by July 1. It is very possible that we could be done well before that, but depending on what our spring is, and then if and when unknowns are found, that might require some additional work or being particularly careful. But we'll know kind of more on that once we get going. But once the contractor gets on site there, we imagine they'll want to go, and it makes sense to move pretty quick.
So it sounds like the electric to the large building is probably buried between the pole and the building?
Yes.
That would be very helpful if that was there and could keep power to that building.
Yep, and that is the plan. Yeah, so the electric meter is on that pole just in the northwest corner of the property. And the contractor is responsible for verifying all the final, how it's connected and doing the proper disconnects.
Well, I'd move to approve Redding's gravel for this excavation.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Kathy. Any other discussion? Vote please, Nancy.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 16 is a resolution establishing City Founders Day Committee.
Yes, we've always had a Founders Day Committee, which was made up of city and chamber officials and kind of key volunteers of different activities since the program or the event started 26 years ago. Like so many things nowadays, insurance dictates a lot. So as part of the review, here we did a couple months ago, the cost for the liability insurance for it to be an under the chamber event was extremely cost prohibitive. It would not be able to happen with the liability insurance rates that is being charged. So we inquired about having it officially under the city, and so any city-sponsored events, volunteers, they would be covered under the city's liability. There are other events that happen with Founders Day that are on the schedule but aren't actual Founders Day events. Those that's not what we're talking about. These would be city and committee organized events. So what this resolution does is kind of take what used to be the committee under the chamber and formalizes that as a committee under the city. The chamber will still be very much involved organizing the event, but it's really kind of a housekeeping item in terms of insurance coverage and making that clear on whose entity it's under and who's covered. And then with that, all the finances will move over to the city from the chamber as well. But a lot of it is funded with Founders Day, it's done through sponsorships and donations. The committee will still be going out procuring those. So our goal is from the general public, the people that enjoy Founders Day. Hopefully they shouldn't notice anything different. This is just kind of more of a background item to make sure we're squared away on everything.
So is the insurance anticipated to be covered under the city's as is, or would there be additional insurance expense there too?
There would be, I don't, that there would be, for when we have an event, we let them know that we're having, an event and we describe, what the activities are. It is we are charged an amount, but it might be, I think, a few $100s type of thing, as opposed to several $1,000s. That's where the fire insurance, through ICAP, they specialize in providing insurance to cities. They understand that the cities hold, annual celebrations, so they're much more reasonable in understanding how those work and, wanting to make sure that cities can continue to do those. And so pricing on what we think is a lot more appropriate. And we've ran the language through the underwriters to make sure they're okay with it. They've signed off on it, just pending the formally signed resolution and a copy of the meeting minutes.
So basically, it's letting them know that this event's going to happen.
Yeah.
Move to approve the Roofing Founders Day Committee as part of the city.
Second.
Motion from Harley, second from Don. Any discussion? Vote please, Nancy.
Kathy? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes. Motion carried. Agenda item number 17 involves a master park plan for the former Peck Auction House property.
Should all have copies of this. This is a working outline that I wanted to just run by council. You're okay to issue, but at our February Parks and Rec Commission, we had shared with them a proposal we had obtained to do the master planning. They felt we should go out and do a request for proposals from multiple entities. So that's what this RFQ does. This is kind of some of the basic outline. We've got to put a little bit more project details, site-specific information, attach some maps and some of those things. But really what we'll be doing is I'm asking for requests for qualifications from professional planning and engineering firms to develop a master plan for the 51 acres of the Peck property. That would involve deal good public input. What we have in there would be public engagement would include workshops, surveys, and stakeholder meetings. We think it's really important to get the public's ideas on how to develop this. We do know, as part of when we accepted the property from the Teats Foundation that donated to the city, that a priority of theirs and ours was to construct a trail along the road there. So we definitely know that's going to be a key piece, but how the rest of that site's developed in the short term, long term, that's what we really let this process play out and develop that master plan that then we would implement beginning with construction, anticipating in 2026. So the proposed timeline is we would issue the RFP at the end of this week. We'd have them due on May 2nd. That following week and a half, we would hold for interviews with the firms. And then ideally, we're looking at on May 19th is when we would select the firm that we'd be working with, and then begin the plan this summer and have it wrapped up by the end of the calendar year.
And the Parks Committee would be part of this too, right?
Yeah, so we're planning for that review committee to be a couple of staff, a couple Parks and Rec Commission members, the mayor, and then we can get one in a city council member. But we're going to kind of, as those dates get closer, kind of reach out and make sure that people are outlined up, all right, what dates, and we might narrow down, kind of identify, some specific dates within the RFQ. Well, these are within this range, but these are the anticipated dates for completing those interviews, because we want to make sure we've got the same group within those.
Make a motion then to authorize the issuance for the park master planning services.
Second.
A motion from Rodney, second from Kathy. Any discussion? Roll please, Nancy.
Kathy,
Yes.
Harley,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Don.
Yes. Motion carried. And agenda item number 18, this is our final published item, or item on our published agenda. This is a resolution setting a public hearing regarding the proposed 2025-26 fiscal year budget.
So this resolution sets our public hearing for Monday, April 21st at 5 PM here at City Hall on the proposed city budget. So this is the notice that will be published in the newspaper, showing our property taxes we collected, transfers, all our different funds, how they're being used. Long story short, we'll go a little bit more detail at the next meeting, but we've had a number of work sessions on this. The budget, we've got a number of capital projects, we're going to be issuing some debt, but we are, with the transfers and things we've got scheduled with some of the phasing, we're about $290,000 in the black for the upcoming year's budget.
Motion to set public hearing, 5 PM on 21st.
Second. Motion from Rodney, second from Don, to set this public hearing April 21st at 5 PM. Any discussion? Roll please, Nancy.
Kathy,
Yes.
Harley,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Motion carried. It is 5:47, and this brings us to the end of our published agenda, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks again, Chris.